everything, what they're made of, how to do them, like how big they are, all that.
Yeah.
Probably not how they're made or what they're made of.
Yeah, but yeah, that, yeah.
Is what it is.
Kyle.
Beckham. I'm gonna put everybody to sleep.
It's alright, don't you ever.
Cool. Everybody signed in.
Sure.
All right, well, thank you for allowing me to have you in my class this morning. Going over hose operations and hose streams, a lot of stuff you covered in Firefighter 1. For some of you, it'll be good review. Some of you, it'll be some new information, so I highly support.
I'm warm. That's just getting outside.
I highly encourage participation. So this thing's cranked up to 80, so.
Trying to make us fall asleep.
I highly encourage participation, especially, when we get to certain points, if CAP or engineers want to pop in, that'd be great. Basically, describe methods used to deploy fire hose. There's one tool that we're always going to use at every fire, some kind of fire hose. Most importantly, it starts with your morning truck checks. Especially you engineers, you know that, you check your truck, make sure everything's there, make sure everything's working, but, do you always check to make sure the hose, you guys are B shift, did A shift run a fire and just throw the hose back on and it looks like crap? When you check your truck, do you check your gateways? Do you check to make sure the nozzle's there? I've had trucks reloaded where they just put the hose back on and they forgot to put the nozzle in. Come on in, Wes. We're just getting started, so. Okay. And we'll hold off just a second. We were just talking that hose load, is your hose loaded property? I've had, when I was a driver, I cruised before me, reload the hose and then forget to put the nozzle back on. So that's kind of my question to the engineers, or when you do your truck checks, do you make sure your hose is loaded properly, ready to go, have a nozzle on it? Stuff like that.
One thing you want to know on our fog nozzles, the 1 3/4 has automatic, but the 2.5, you got to make sure you know what gallons it's set on, so that you know what to pump it at.
So it's got the selectable.
So you want to check that as well.
And some departments, they have mixed prelays. One prelay is a combination nozzle, one prelay is a straight nozzle. So you got to know what you're dealing with. Okay, people that just came in, please pass that around. So, to be fair, this was, they charged,
I thought Gladstone had blue trucks.
right? But my point was, when you load your hose on your truck, do you want it just thrown on there, or do you want it really?
I think he's recording it from
Oh, no,
Oh.
he's good.
there. Okay. So you can get it back in your head, don't. Gotta redo it.
All right, everybody's
Yeah,
clear.
right?
Everybody clear.
Or does it look like this? You can obviously see that they took some time and pride in loading their hose. I've looked at our trucks loaded pretty neatly. But think about it, not only besides looking nice, which do you think would deploy easier? Which are you gonna have a harder time getting the hose off? So it kinda all goes back to taking pride in your work, making sure everything's neat, orderly, and where it's supposed to be. When you arrive on scene, all these things have to happen. IC's gonna do 360, residential versus commercial. All these things are going to determine which hose you're gonna pull. 99% of the time you're gonna grab the 1 3/4 cross lace, right? But, maybe you have a big industrial fire where you're gonna want 2.5. Or maybe it's just a dumpster fire where you wanna just grab the reel. First things you're gonna need tool. Do you need a water can? Is that in your protocols? And everything I'm saying, everything I'm going over, goes back to company training. When you guys train, I can sit here and tell you what the book says, but when you get on the truck, your captain and your engineer are going to dictate. No, this is how we do things. This is how our shift does things. Because I can tell you how things happen where I came from. They happen differently here, and they'll happen different. Sometimes it happens differently from station to station. Are you going to go in offensive mode? Cap does 360, says we're going to hit it. We're going to hit it hard. What do you need? Is it going to be an interior attack? Again, what do you need? Training. These things should just be automatic. Defensive mode. Things are going to be a little bit different, right? You get on scene, there's nothing interior you're going to save. This is a fully involved house. You can't even get inside. So things are going to be a little bit different. Some of the things that you use, probably not as much, but they still like to go over. If you're going to pull it up on a roof, has anybody ever seen these edge protectors? What else can you use?
So this is good.
You can also use old fire hose sometimes. They got a fancy drainer. That's real fancy. I don't know. I've never used one of these. Has anybody used a fancy hose roller like that?
It's cheating.
Hose bridges. Chafing blocks. Now this is one thing you might want to train with, and you also might see this later. We will take a quiz at the end of this. So, some of these things, if I say, or it's highlighted, you kind of might see later. Anybody ever train on using a hose strap? Just a piece of webbing, you wrap around it. If you know you're gonna stand there, you know, for an extended period of time, that helps you move the hose. Helps secure it to a ladder. So, you know, it just provides a more secure means, especially if you're by yourself. Devices, there's all sorts of, you know, again, this goes back to your truck. Which truck are you on? You know, what does 723 have versus 733 versus 722? Do they all have the exact same appliances? Probably not. There's some on one, some on the other, but that's, you know, again, you have each one of these has a purpose. You got your water thief appliances, hydrant valves. I know in the department I had, we would always hook when we went into another area we covered, they had Kansas City hydrants. And it was almost guaranteed that hydrant, they were not maintained. It was almost guaranteed that hydrant was gonna break. So we figured that out. We got to the point where we put and they only had the 2.5, they didn't have the steamers. We put a gate valve on there. Because if you didn't, and the stem broke, you were tied to that hydrant, your truck was out of service till the water department got there to shut down that hydrant if you couldn't. So you might be there for 4 or 6 hours, which I experienced. Valve devices. So everybody knows the difference between Ys and Siamese? New people? What's the difference between a Y and a Siamese?
Y is got like a gate on it, and then Siamese is just open flow.
Not necessarily. The easy way, Y is water going out. So maybe you're coming from a 3-inch hose and you're Ying off to 2 3/4. So it's water going towards a fire. Siamese is water coming in. So a lot of your FDCs on the side of a building, if they're not the Storts kind, if they're the 2, you see them where they're 2.5-inch connectors, that's called a Siamese. It's water coming in. And it will have a flapper valve so that if you just hook one, it doesn't shoot the water out the other. But it's water coming in versus water going out. That's the biggest. Water thieves. You see those a lot on hydrants. They have these big manifolds or whatever you want to call them hooked to a hydrant. The main is your LDH going to the truck, but they'll have other connections where you can hook up a 2.5. They call those water thieves, LDH manifolds. And again, just go to your trucks, get used to the different adapters, reducers, elbows, hose caps. I'm not going to go over all of these. Again, this is where you get with your company training, because I'm a big proponent of you learn better by hands-on. And this class is more of just here it is. Forward hose legs. Again, you might see this later. Forward hose leg. Jackson.
Yes.
Real quick summation.
4 hose lays from the hydrant to the fire.
Very good. Deployed from the water source to the incident. That might be something you can see later. 99% of the time, isn't that what we do?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the benefits. Pump operator can see the fire. Pumper can be there. Some of the benefits, your tools are handy, truck's handy. If you need more attack lines, truck's right there. Hydrant connection for a forward lay. Everybody practice wrapping a hydrant, catching a hydrant. So once you wrap the hydrant, what's kind of an important thing to do or not to do, Jet?
Not wrap it too many times, you'll pull a hydrant out of the ground.
Hopefully you won't. I mean, hopefully your hose is loaded well enough that, you know, you wrap the hydrant, you tell Bruce it's good to go, it just flakes right off. But I guess it could get caught on something and
You don't wanna stand right next to it like that gentleman is, in case it doesn't get caught.
that's probably a good idea. Anybody, don't get between the hose and the hydrant. If you wrap it, you know, I was always taught that when you wrap it, you leave a nice big tail on this backside, and that's where your connection is. And then you can stand off to the side with a foot on it, just so it doesn't come undone. Where if it does start pulling or whatever, all you gotta do is step back and you're done. Yeah, don't, you know, the other thing is, don't forget do we have hydrant bags?
Yes,
Don't forget your hydrant bag. Cause you're not gonna do any good if you can't take the cap off or open the hydrant or, you know, do what you need to do. Here's step by step. Pull hose off apparatus, wrap around the hydrant, anchor, signal the driver. Reverse hose lay. It's just the opposite. You drop the nozzle off and you drive to the hydrant. Never been a fan. I'm sure probably someplace it has its use. I don't know.
To me, a reverse lay is still parking in front of the front door and then grabbing your LDH and
Humping it
pulling
back.
it to the hydrant. That is my definition of a reverse lay.
The only way
There
I
you
can
go.
see this one being feasible in our situation is maybe dropping off a unmanned line.
Why
a
you would want
monitor
your
and then
pumper?
taking off, but why would you want your pumper, your nozzle somewhere near
Mm-hmm.
your engineer?
Well, that's just it. In the reverse lay, you're down here, say your pump's on this side, you know, your engineer has a hell of a time seeing the scene. Oh, then all of a sudden, hey, cap calls for a second line. Well, you gotta pump a second line and
Well, what if your
From a
hydrant
block
is
one?
200 feet away and you drop your nozzle at the front door? You can't make it into your tag. 'Cause
Right.
Your truck is 200. It makes no sense the way it's described there.
right, exactly. And here's some disadvantages, you can delay. It's just,
Don't do it.
they teach you to fire one, but I don't see any practical use for it. Supply pumpers, okay, maybe if your first new pumper's already parked and you're fighting off of tank water, and your second dew pumper comes in, drops the LDH off at that pumper, and then drives to the hydrant. Or if you have to relay pump, I guess I could see that, but that's a little bit different because now you're talking supply hose. Don't know why they're. Alright, we all know the difference between a forward and reverse leg, right? Any questions? Again, goes back to, hey, let's train how we work. There you got this as advancing a Minuteman hose. We use flat lace, so it's a little bit different. Minuteman is basically just an upside down flat load, pretty much. According to the book, the Minuteman load should deploy with fewer kinks and bends. It's highlighted in my book, so you might see that again. Again, the Minuteman should deploy with fewer kinks. I don't see if you've got a neatly loaded flat load, it should be the same. Different types of loads: flat load, accordion load, horseshoe load. Again, every department's a little bit different, and it depends on what kind of truck you have. I worked on a department that had a 75 Boardman. It's kind of an old truck, and we deployed the hand line off the back, so we loaded it horseshoe. It's just the way the truck was set up. Cross loads, keep it simple. You got your flat load. As you can see here, he's pulling the flat load off. When you're pulling your pre-connects, be sure the hose bed is cleared. I've literally gotten to the back door and couldn't get in the back door. It's like, didn't make sense. I had 200 feet of hose, and there's no way I was 200 feet from the truck. Well, the hose bed didn't get cleared, and the engineer didn't check before he charged. So now it was, it's all jammed up in there. Now you got to pull another line before you fight the fire. So, a couple things. Be sure the bed's cleared. Make sure you got all the hose out. Make sure you don't have a mess. Bird's nest, you've heard that before. There's a reason. However you pull, however you practice, make sure it's not just all pulled off the truck and right there. Couple things. You're going to make the engineer mad as hell because that's where they usually stand, and you're not going to be you're not going to get an effective fire hose. You're going to waste time sitting there cleaning up your mess. So if you practice, again, this goes back to training. You practice how to get that fire hose off the truck efficiently. It doesn't have to be perfectly neat, but there's ways you get that off the truck. It's going to lay out, different scenarios. What if you pull up to a house fire and the house is, fairly close to the street, the front yard's only 30 feet deep. Fire's blowing out the front door. Well, you got 200 feet of pre-connect. What are you gonna do with that other 170 feet before you get to the front door? Get your hose laid out. Flake it out. Have enough available so that when you get to the front door, as you make entrance, you can pull that hose in. You know, if you've got a nice, neat accordion right there, it just unflakes as you go in. You don't want that. Literally, if you pull that and, you know, Bruce charges the line, they say, we want water, and he charges the line, and you charge that, you might as well just drop the nozzle, go get another line and pull it right. Because by the time you clean up that mess, Cap's probably going to be yelling at you, where's my water? Some situations you're going to run into, burst hose line. Have you guys practiced replacing? You know, another training idea. It happens, you know, especially if you're on a hot fire. You worked your way into that. Back bedroom that's ripping and roaring, and something falls on your hose, burns through it, cuts through it, whatever. And all of a sudden you're back there, you lost water pressure. Oh crap. You know, I gotta replace part of this. What type of loads do we use? What?
Flat.
Flat load. With everything? With deuce and a half, with inch and 3/4?
The LDH on the back of the ladder is an accordion.
Okay. And that's why?
Horseshoe, because it curves when it's laid under the ladder.
I guess it's both actually. It's accordion on the bottom, accordion on the top.
See, it's that way because of the layout of the truck. So you do it accordingly. You know, what methods do we use? What methods do you guys typically, Cap tells you grab, pre-connect, get it to the front door. Describe to me how you do that.
I can't hear you.
Speak up.
Pull the,
He's right.
grab the stack on one side with the nozzle, and then reach back, grab my loop,
Okay.
go till the loop is pulled. You can't pull it anymore. Let go. Go to the front door. Grab my middle section and my nozzle. Put it down. Grab the middle, and then let back, and then pull forward.
Okay.
So that I have a nice preload.
There you go. Why do you pull that extra loop until it doesn't move?
So you're pulling all your hose off the hose bed.
So you're clearing the hose bed. You know, the instructor should probably sentence his phone.
733, 712 got a call.
Still got 3.
Yeah,
Hey.
radio.
Be careful. But yeah, by grabbing that loop, number one, you're clearing the hose bed. And then the rest of it, you're walking out, like you said, you're gonna dump it, and then
In a nice orderly way.
things a little different on the, you know, when you're trying to hurry up and get that. You know. But yeah, and you grab that other section, you flake it out. Hopefully your partner's there to help you. So when you do that, maybe one of you can go take the nozzle to the front door and your partner can flake it out and then meet you back. Again, that's all part of training. Now we're going to go over methods of advancing hose lines. There, believe it or not, there are different ways. And as you go through your career, you're going to start off doing it the way you're taught in fire school, the way you're initially taught. But as you get further along, you're going to find shortcuts. You're going to find, hey, this works. You know, like it says, advancing hose over flat surfaces with no obstacles, that's pretty easy. You know, when you throw in stairs, ladders, around corners, around furniture, it's going to get a little more problematic. Obviously, uncharged lines are easier to advance. We'll go over that in a little bit, especially up and down stairs. Obviously, there's a time and a place. You're not going to take an uncharged line into through the door where there's fire blowing in their face. But if the fire is in, say, a church, down the basement, in the back room, it might be safe to take an uncharged line, till you get a little bit closer, get it all flaked out, and then call for water. Working drag line. It's highlighted in my book. Just one of the quickest, easiest ways to advance the charged hose line at ground level. It's basically hump the hose. Put it over your shoulder, lean into it, and walk.
Easy.
Obviously it's a little bit easier for me to do it at 240 pounds than Josh at not 240 pounds. But that's, again, you go back training. You think I push training a little bit? I'm huge on training. You're going into your burning building. Practice this all the time, right? Check that your hose is flaked out. You're going to open your nozzle, bleed off the air, make sure what?
You already bled off the air, right?
Bleed off the air. What's another thing you're checking? You're at the front door, you're ready to go in, you just kind of turn it 90 degrees, go shh.
Your stream.
You want to check your stream,
Right,
make sure you
yeah.
have enough pressure. All that.
Yeah. Do you have good pressure? When I was an engineer, one of the things I do is I would charge the line at idle, and then when they would call for water, that's when I'd ramp it up. Because it's a heck of a lot easier to pull a hose line empty, or if it has water in it, it's a heck of a lot easier at 40 psi versus 100 psi. Just, you don't have that nozzle reaction pushing back on you. Plus, you can bleed it off, it's not going to knock you into it, but then when you go to fight the fire, once you have it ramped up, you got your pressure. Now I say that, let me re-emphasize, I did that before they got to the fire. Once there was any chance of fighting fire, they had all pressure they needed. Position team members on the same side of the hose line. You might see that again. Why is that?
You don't want to be cut between the structure and the line.
You don't want to get pinched. Check for heat using a tick or water spray. How would you check for heat using the water spray? Go ahead, up.
Just see where it vaporizes. For the steam hit, just hit it. Just hit it. I mean, don't hit it too hard because then you're not going to see it. But if you just mildly hit it, like barely up, and just spray, you'll see this. You'll see this. You'll see it automatically start to vaporize. And I'll tell you where it's hot enough because you know it's above the threshold. So.
Okay.
But it takes a little bit of nuance. You know.
Or if you got a door, like especially a metal door, if you hit it real quick with a fog and you see steam, kind of need heat to create steam. Stay low, avoid blocking doorways or windows. Again, fire one stuff, staying low. Why are we staying low?
Heat rises,
Heat rises. What else rises?
smoke rises.
And if you're low,
You're not going to
What-
get caught in it.
what's besides being out of the heat, what else is going to be your advantage?
Should be able to see better.
There you go.
People will complain. People will complain.
I had a bad habit when I was on the line of going in standing up. I don't know why. Probably because I have bad knees, but that was just my habit. I would go in. My captain would always say, "Get down." That was me getting down. Okay. But then, a couple fires, literally couldn't see jack squat. I got low enough to basically where my face was about table height. Whoa! What the hell's this stuff? I can see. Damn. Keep doors closed until ready to enter. Okay, they teach you that in forcible entry class, right?
Yep.
Force the door, but then pull it back. Why are you doing that?
Because I'm kind of adding more oxygen.
Okay. With backdraft's not as big a thing anymore. It's still a thing. You're more concerned with flashover. So, if you introduce all that air and it's full of smoke, what's smoke? Unburned fuel. So if you got your door forced and you're controlling the door and you're waiting for water, coordinated attack. Flow path, you ever heard of flow path? Maybe once or twice. Self-closing doors, they will get you every time. You should have, has everybody got door chocks on their helmets or in their pockets?
Yep.
Or you got maybe a truck belt with a little tool pouch on it? You want them. Even if it's just, I suggest just making your own wood chocks. I mean, you can get scrap wood anywhere. Make your door chocks. That way if you lose them, it doesn't cost you anything. It's good safety practice to assume there's heat behind any door. Obviously, unless it's a see-through door. You don't know what's back there. Advancing hose up a stairway. Okay, what'd they teach you? I'm picking on the new, recently graduated fire academy people. What'd they teach you about fighting floors, like saying a multi-story nursing home or a multi-story apartment building?
Floor below your fire floors or staging area.
Okay. But as far as, because if you try to drag a charged hose line up the stairs, it's a bear. It is not fun. So the more people you have, the better it's going to be. They showed a guy down here pulling hose up, feeding to the fire floor. They went up, looped it, came back down. Why do you suppose they did that?
Give them enough hose to make entrance and
Right.
through the stairwells.
According to this picture, they're not even to the fire yet. You can see the smoke. So as they advance, they're going to use up that hose. They got a good section of hose there. What's the height between floors usually?
About 10 feet.
Figure 10 foot of floor. So there's 10, 25 feet that they can go. You got this guy down here. Keep stairs as clear as possible. Obviously you gotta have the hose in the stairs somewhere, but you don't want to block it because you got more people coming in. This might be something you might want to remember for later. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Only recommended when fire is not, unless you got like a trash can fire. Okay, you're not so worried about that, or you haven't found the fire yet. All right, let's get a hose line. Let's get to the fire. You always have your radio. Obviously, your captain probably is going to be there with you. He's going to call back to the engineer when you find the fire. Pretty obvious. Charge lines are recommended. But just remember, uncharged lines, easier to move, but only recommended when there's minor, just little fire, or not fire present at all. More advancing down the stairway. Have you guys ever done where you charge line, create a loop,
Yeah.
and you roll it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did that a lot.
Oh, that works
Beautiful.
so much better,
Beautiful.
especially getting around like
Sharp.
landings.
Yeah. Especially if you're going upstairs. It works a lot. Or even if you're going down a hallway, like a long hallway, it's really well. You have to kind of know how to do it, but you can do it pretty easily if you know the technique.
Yeah, it's works really well.
Yep.
Ideally, you got enough firefighters to position wherever you're going to have a catch point. Does that always happen? No. Here's a big. Do you have enough hose to reach the fire? You just went up 4 flights of stairs, and you had to go down a hall, make a right. Then what do you do? You're
Fire rush pick.
Fire back
there. You go.
Or do your pre-resident planning already, those places that you already think you might have an issue, see if you have enough hose on that deployment.
Yeah.
Speak up.
Yeah, or just do your pre-incident planning. You can do that at Booth Manor. Like, for example, we know on a 200-foot of line, as long as you go straight up into the west or the eastern access, you can go all the way up to the 6th floor of Booth Manor and then go straight down the hallway. Now, we won't be able to go around the lobby, but we'll be able to reach any apartment on that side, whether it's east side or west side. But you have to make sure you go straight up. So, if you
But
go,
but if something happens that blows a theory, hole in your theory, like Cap said, you got your high-rise pack.
Right.
So you get your pre-connect as far as you can, break the nozzle off, get your high-rise pack hooked in. There's how much hose is on our high-rise packs?
150, isn't it?
So you just gained another 150 feet. Add that to your pre-connect. How far are you? How far can you reach? 350. Because your pre-connects are 200, right? That's good to know as a firefighter, but that's even more important to know as an engineer, because now they have to take into account that additional friction loss. So that's why communication is essential. I mean, obviously your captain's gonna know what's going on, but if you guys are on the hose line, Cap says, get this hose up to the 5th floor down the hall, and you get there and say, hey, we gotta break nozzle and add high-rise pack. Radio back to Cap, tell him what you're doing. Well, then he knows, and he tells, Bruce is driving that day. He tells Bruce. Bruce knows that he's got to up the pressure just a little bit to compensate for that extra hose. Imagine that. High-rise packs. And just a little bit, we'll take a break. Standpipe operations. Any building over, does that anybody know? I know I'm getting into my fire marshal stuff. How many floors?
And the 3 floors?
Any building over 3 floors has to have their standpipe. You're gonna have, again, used to be they had cabinets and you had fire hose. I mean, it was what, 3/4 inch or inch fire hose, and it was single wall. The inexpensive stuff, because it just sat there, and you never know how long it sat there. Most of the buildings, they've done away with those. Now you just have connection. What do you gotta take with you? You're assigned to the 4th floor, hooked to the standpipe. What do you need?
Definitely need to have the gated Y. Need my high-rise pack, and that should have a nozzle, 150-foot hose, and possibly a tool with it. And
when you say a tool with it, what do you mean?
like a spanner wrench, like a hydrant wrench
Yeah.
or some kind, or a hose wrench rather. And then a nozzle.
Do you guys have standpipe? Like you have a hydrant kit? Do you have a standpipe kit? Okay.
It's all connected to the high-rise.
It's all fire connected into the fire.
Oh, you do, but it's part of the
Well,
high-rise
the
pack.
Y is connected to the high-rise pack, and there's a little,
The spanners are
little like
connected to the
drill bag that has spanners,
Okay, so you do.
reducers, the
Yeah.
stuff you're supposed to grab, the little high-rise
Okay.
bag.
Yeah, just grab the high-rise pack.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy, like Cap said. You just have a little, DeWalt or Milwaukee little tool bag with stuff in it. But you're absolutely right. You need something to connect it with, something to take the cap off, and you're going to need a Y, a reducer, something. Could you get up there? You know, a gauge might be good if there's not one on there. It may be part of the deal, may not.
We're always big fans of connecting the Y to it, because if you need to utilize another
Second
line,
Yeah.
you don't have to shut the whole standpipe down. You can just connect it to the Y,
Yep,
turn it on, you're ready to roll.
excellent idea. This is just another, you know, showing you using the standpipe. They connected to the floor below. Look at there, there's a gated Y, just like Cap said. Got 2 lines coming off of it. Pretty textbook right there. Improvising a standpipe. There's many ways of improvising a standpipe. Anybody have some ideas why you might have to improvise a standpipe? Poorly maintained. It's a super old building. They didn't have standpipes back when that building was built. Illegally took out the standpipes. Natural disaster. It's highlighted in my book, so you might remember that for later. Construction, demolition, you know, building might be, you know, in phase of disrepair. Tampering. You know, you gotta admit some of the buildings in our town are kind of in, you know, you got squatters, you got people coming in. People will put stuff, they will take the cap off and shove stuff in there. Why, I don't know. Here they used hose from an apparatus for a standpipe. There they went through a window. Welcome back. Another life saved.
Absolutely.
It's still recording, right, Stacy?
Yeah.
Another way that you can do it. When I was a driver, we would practice using the ladder truck as a standpipe. Take the nozzle off, put the tip up to the window, connect 3-inch supply hose or a reducer. It's a 100-foot standpipe right there. Now, doing that, your ladder is dedicated to that operation. You can no longer utilize your ladder for anything else, but, you know, desperate times, desperate measures. There, limits ladder use. Cumbersome, must remove ladder nozzle to connect hose, which, unless you remove the nozzle off the ladder on a semi-regular basis, that could be a bear. Last resort, but doable. I agree. When you improvise the standpipe system, there will be a delay. So, you know, remember that. I say we take about 10-minute break. I think everybody's wouldn't mind a break. Smoke them if you got them.
Cold.
Be back at roughly 5 after.
Get donuts in front of Bruce, up in front of Bruce.
Yeah,
He's eating
please.
them.
You don't need any more fat pills?
They want a donut. Ooh, they get that given. What is that?
Any squirrels?
Not since we went. The one time we got them, we haven't went back since.
You were supposed to go last year, or last morning.
It was snowing.
That's perfect. That's the best time to go.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'd fuck
Easier
that
to
up
see.
then.
They're on the ground searching for food. That's the absolute best time to go.
I didn't know if because we went one time and it was like about to rain, and they say the pressure dropped and so
Rain
when
is
it's,
different. Snow, ideas.
Okay, well I'll go next time then.
Yeah, I wouldn't go sit in the rain. Anytime there's snow, you get you. Or right after it snows.
Catch them while they're digging.
Get all that. They can't hear you walking around. You're quiet, stealthy. Yeah.
Do you know? Have you been in the EMS room today? No.
I know when you large ones out. Stacks of large ones. Always out those.
Want a copy?
No thanks, I'm good, thank you. How much of the truck test did you get done?
All of it.
Really?
Uh-huh.
See? No need to procrastinate.
I just need to go back, and Bruce wants me to compare what's on the digital truck check versus that paper one, and wants me to see what's on that one that there's not on the other.
Before you move on to module 2, make sure he gives you the
Module 1 test.
module 1 test. You gotta pass it.
Put my hand right back into UC and pay for the semester.
It's like anything, it's never your money long for long.
Hell, I got paid today and ate my money. So,
No taxes came out though.
at all?
This is our 3rd check of the month. So no health care,
So I thought they.
no taxes, no health care, no benefits, no.
Okay, they still take taxes.
Yeah, they still take taxes.
Oh, Uncle Sam's always
I
gonna
was
get
gonna
his.
say, he's gonna get his greedy little fucking hands in there.
He's always gonna get his. guy.
And property taxes are due, so you're gonna pay taxes again on the vehicle that you already paid taxes on.
Right.
Twice with sales tax and the year prior and every other kind of stuff.
Yep, and tax on all the food you spent.
With the money that
You
got
were taxed on
taxed.
Got
that.
taxed already by your sales, by your income tax.
You're, yeah. You got
You-
taxed for earning.
I'm gonna fuck them this year though. I sold my truck in 2023 and I'm gonna buy one in 2024. So I won't owe property taxes in 2024 on the vehicle. Bastards. I'll show them.
Yeah, you will. They're like, oh, 2024, we'll just Make you pay double this time.
No.
What'd you buy?
I haven't yet.
Or what are you going to buy?
I'm looking for a Tundra to go buy somewhere.
New one?
Something with 4 doors, huh?
Brand new?
No. Shit. There's the price of a house nowadays. But used Tundras with 100,000 miles are the price of a pull behind trailer. And they're fifth wheel. They're expensive too. It's ridiculous. I sold mine. I put on 50,000 miles, had it for 4 years, and sold it for 1,000 more than what I bought it for. So
Dang.
Say you did good.
yeah, but I'm just flipping that right into another used truck that's probably overpriced for what they pay for it too. So. Just a matter of finding one. There's really nothing local. I'm looking at flying to Columbus on Wednesday to maybe go buy one.
Oh, now you get a plate.
Eat 3 of them already. And then
No. So
It's
my
at least,
second.
that is at least
No.
3 because you ate
No.
one out of
One
here.
in each finger?
You
No,
ate
I
one
didn't.
there. You
No.
didn't eat one out
No.
at 6:30 this morning.
No.
Oh, you're a dirty liar.
No, I
You're
did
a
not.
dirty
I had
liar.
a smoothie.
that half drinking one that's still in the kitchen?
And a breakfast
Is it-
burrito
no, it's
from.
not
Did
in
you have a
the
breakfast burrito from Yummy's?
No,
Did you not?
no.
It's usually your go-to.
I haven't had Yummies in forever.
That's where you got the smoothie, wasn't it?
No, it was from Scooters.
Oh.
Good God. So sorry.
You need a second donut, dog?
Yeah.
We're debating. We think it's her third,
You know what?
but
Take the damn donuts.
I have not got a single one.
Get a donut.
There's,
You wanna split the last one?
they got meat in
There's
them.
two.
You can't have them.
Oh man, the fingers of.
You didn't get them, so.
Wow, it's such a big decision. We should-
Well, has everybody had one already? I don't want.
I've had one.
yes, everybody's had multiple. I've had
Bruce
multiple.
has had like 4.
Bruce had 4. I've had 3.
Yeah, take the plate. I don't need it.
Rebecca gets the last one. Give her the whole box.
No.
Just give her the box.
No,
Put it,
no,
put it on
I
the
don't
table.
need it.
Put it on
Put
the
it in
table.
front of her.
No.
I'm just following orders.
No.
Do it. There you go.
No, I
I
don't need this.
guess.
There's people that haven't had one yet.
Everybody, they just said that wasn't true.
You haven't had one?
No, I mean everybody besides me.
I don't think Mary Elle's had one.
I don't know if Jet's had one either.
Neither one of them are here, so they don't count.
They're going all the way
If
to
they
research.
don't see him,
There's really no common courtesy when it comes to
Out
fucking
of sight,
donuts.
out of
You just
mind.
get one when you see them, or you lose out and they're all gone, and that's your fault.
You did this for 1 or 2, Mark? 1.
I had Instructor 1 before, but
Never used it, let it go.
I let it expire.
Are you going to document this on Target Solutions for us?
Sure.
Okay, we want to make sure we get credit for
Say
it.
if you don't, I will.
I got,
Trainers.
got my sign-up sheet right here.
Gotta compete with that C-shift, you know.
I mean, I could write everything down on paper if I could get one.
We've been training new hires since February of last year. So technically, we could have 8 hours every day if we wanted.
You talk Amy into coming over here. I don't see her anymore. She's out of school now.
I don't know what her,
February of last year.
if she's,
Who got hired in
it
February
was
last year?
I am
loyalty to
just
them.
assuming I just threw out a date.
Amy said her just
April of last year.
working the shit out of
Very
her.
Because I
old.
know.
Beating up.
Jed,
They are,
M, when'd you get hired?
they're
June
basically,
20th,
Well, technically, wouldn't it be like August?
I'm just saying,
of-
like,
we
because a
were
blanket statement is if there's been
8 months ago.
somebody being trained for at least the last
Buddy
3
Kyle.
months.
They're,
We can go down
In here too.
multiple hires.
I've tried.
I think
They just throw loyalty to
Alex
them.
and Shelton
He won't do it.
would be
You ready to go?
really smash.
Sure.
That's some good tackles.
I think it's everybody's. Bruce.
Bruce.
He's handling some business in here in a minute.
Grab some coffee.
Yeah.
He'll join us.
So close. It's so far.
Alright, everybody recaffeinated and
10 minutes.
ready to stay awake another 55 minutes.
That's all we got left.
It's
So,
flown by.
there you go. So, like I said earlier, dragging a hose across flat ground to a front door, it's pretty easy. Upstairs, a little harder. Up a ladder, you pretty much have to do it with a non-charged hose line. I mean, it can be done with a charged hose line, but I don't recommend it because climbing your ladder is going to be even more difficult. All of your ladder safety things that you addressed in Fire 1, person heeling the ladder, 3 points of contact, the whole 9 yards, is even more important when you have a hose line in your hand, so you're walking up with a hose line.
Do you charge that hose as soon as it gets in the building, or once it's at where you wanna make your attack, or?
It depends. Usually, the easiest way to
Jeffo show up?
get up to your to the window that you want to enter. I mean, if the fire is right there, you're going to have to do it while you're on the ladder. Hopefully it's kind of a little bit further in so you can maybe get off the ladder and into the building. Every situation's dependent. But I think the big thing they're talking about here is going up the ladder. One of the first slides, remember the hose strap? If you're going to operate from the ladder, if you have a piece of webbing and you can tie off your hose to a certain degree, that's just going to help you. That's going to help you manage that hose. You could watch videos of the guys on the ladders and they open up the hose stream and they got such nozzle pressure that it knocks them off the ladder or takes the ladder with it. So you gotta, it's a dangerous operation. So again, you just, one person per ladder section. You gotta have a healing firefighter. You also have to take into consideration, okay, you got capacity of that ladder. Okay, you got yourself, which, all right, we all know what that is. Now you got to add the weight of the hose and the water to that ladder. So you're putting quite a strain on the ladder too. What are some differences between advancing uncharged and charged hose lines? Jackson.
Yeah, uncharged is a lot lighter than charged hose lines. You can move it a lot easier.
When would you advance a uncharged hose line into a basement?
When it's a minor fire or no fire present.
Okay, let's talk about home streams and nozzles. Exciting stuff, I know. Obviously, smooth bore, you get a solid stream. And this is smooth versus combination is an argument that's gone on ever since the invention of a combination nozzle. Some people are hardcore old school, smooth bore only. Some people are combination nozzle. Some of it's how you were brought into the fire service. Some of it is your experience. Fog nozzle. The advantage to a combination nozzle is, you can pretty much get a straight stream out of it. I mean, is it gonna be a true straight stream? No. But it's gonna, you know, you can get that down to pretty much what you need. NFPA information. Obviously this gets pretty basic, but you know, the one thing that's common to all firefighting is what?
Water.
Water. And why? All these reasons. Relatively inexpensive. It's, unless you're in the desert, it's pretty much everywhere. I mean, around, you know, we're pretty fortunate in our district. I jokingly say you can't throw a dead cat without hitting a hydrant. We have pretty good coverage of hydrants. There's going to be places where, you know, outlying places and stuff, maybe not as great, but for the most part, we have pretty decent hydrants. And I don't know, is pressure pretty good across town?
It's not bad.
Better in some places than others, I get it, but I mean, at least when you open the hydrant, it doesn't just kind of like Charlie Brown just trickle out. Big thing is, you know, it's a big heat absorber. There's your steam conversion. Sure you learned that in Fire 1. Steam is 17,000 to 1. Good nozzle control. Again, this goes back to what? Training. You know, when everybody can remember the first time you opened a nozzle in fire school or whatever, I'm going to challenge everybody to say that when you opened that fire hose, you didn't at least take a step back because it threw you back, right? But now that you've done it a few times, you're getting a little more experienced, you've learned that you don't just yank it open, and B, that, you know, you've learned a little bit. You learn that you lean into it. You learn how to control that nozzle. Why is water an effective extinguishing agent? What? What's one reason?
Cools the room.
Absorbs the heat.
Absorbs it more heat.
Smooth bore. Been around since forever. You know why they used smooth bore back in the days of hand pumps and the very, very beginning of firefighting? They don't take much pressure to operate. They take what little pressure they had, because understand that some of the early fire engines, you had guys pumping up, you know, operating the lever to create pressure. You're not going to get 150 PSI out of that. But they took that pressure from that hose, narrowed it down a little bit. All of a sudden, hey, we got some pressure here. We can shoot a stream of water kind of a good distance. That's why they used, obviously, technology. They didn't have fog or combination nozzles back then either. They just had something more along this line. Operate at low pressure, less prone to clogging. Can be used to apply compressed air foam. Can allow less pressure. You know, when you're pumping at 100 pounds, you know, everybody's seen the hose. You know, you got a kink in the hose. It pretty much, unless it's really bad, it straightens itself out. Maybe not so much at 40, 50 pounds. And you're stuck, you have a straight string. That's all you got. And obviously everybody knows the fog or the pattern of your water with the different nozzles. Fog nozzle, adjustable, you know, everybody knows that before you go in, you bleed off the air and you adjust to what pattern you want. What pattern do you want to go start off with usually? Straight stream. Why is that?
So you don't accidentally.
To avoid causing, like, it makes less steam.
Disrupting your thermal layers.
Yeah.
Disrupting thermal layers, steam conversion. You know, if a room's super hot and you hit it with a wide fog, you know, you could create a whole bunch of steam real quick. Once you're in, you know, if you get maybe close to a flash, you know, if the fire's starting to roll over your head and get a little hot, you can put it on that white pattern and kind of cool things off. Variety of applications, you know, a lot of foam nozzles, you can have an attachment for the end. And there's all sorts of different, just like anything, you have constant gallon, basic, selectable, like Bruce was saying on the one has a selectable. Goes back to the reaction force. Remember I talked about that earlier. You're gonna have less reaction force with what? Fog versus straight string, which is gonna give you more reaction force? Fog.
More reaction?
More reaction, straight string. Specialty, piercing nozzles. Anybody used piercing nozzle here? Pretty cool when they work. I've used it on a trailer fire.
We used to use them on hay bales all the time.
Oh, yeah. You know, we had a trailer fire. You really don't, you know, I mean, by trailer, I mean modular home. If you don't have to go into one, you know, those are good, just surrounded grounds. We used one, went through the side of it's actually in Claycomo. Went through the side of a trailer because it was in the back bedroom. And on that one, we couldn't get to the back bedroom because it was a hoarder. We just put the piercing nozzle through and flooded the room. Cellar nozzles, cellar pipes, cut a hole in the floor. If you can't get access to where the fire is in the basement, cut a hole in the floor, shove it down there. It's like a big sprinkler head. It's kind of cool. It's fun to play with in the summertime. Nozzle maintenance. After a fire, especially a real, I call them greasy fires, real dirty, lots of insulation or lots of stuff, do you come back and do you clean your nozzles? Has anybody ever done that? Because if you don't, especially a combination nozzle, you get a piece of insulation in there, next time you go to use it, it may not function like it's supposed to, if at all. So it's probably a good idea to if you got a real nasty, dirty, or the other thing, my other pet peeve when I was a driver is when crews used to just drag the nozzles through the mud. You get that mud caked on there and then you don't get it cleaned off. Can't move the bail, you can't move the adjustment. It's a thing.
You gotta do brush truck pretty often because the tank will chip off that was too long.
Yeah. I mean, we don't draft here probably, but you know, some of the outlying places when you draft out of a pond, you don't know what you're going to get in there. Gravel, silt, frogs. So, just some things to look for, you know, when you got that nozzle off. When you're breaking down after a fire, you pull the nozzle off, you take it up, you put it on the engine, right? A, so it doesn't get lost, and B, so it doesn't get any dirtier. Oh, when you're walking with it, check for some of these things. There's always a gasket on there, right, where it hooks to the hose. Make sure that's still there. Make sure it's in good shape. Make sure the bail's not broke. You know, those little, where it connects to the pin, gets broke sometimes. Make sure your ball on the inside is in one piece, you know. Did a rock get in the pump and it spit out a rock and come up? You know, it's just that ball, I mean, it's a hard plastic, but it's still plastic. Does everything work like it should? You know, does the nozzle adjust smoothly? Or does it feel like you gotta really crank on it and it feel like gravel? Again, kind of the same thing. Never drop or drag nozzles if you can avoid it. Again, I go back to when I was a driver, that was my pet peeve, is when guys would just, I'm gonna pull this hose out, I'm just gonna start dragging the hose. Oh, the nozzle's still on it. Dragging it through everything. Pick up the nozzle, bring the nozzle back. Alright, some difference between smooth bore and fog stream. Josh.
Smooth boring, use right there foam with it, and shoots a solid stream, whereas fog nozzle is can be adjustable and can also change to a Y pattern to change your attack or whatever the situation needs at the time.
Okay. Which one's going to reach further? Anybody?
Smooth bore.
Which one's going to have more reaction force?
Smooth bore.
Two different answers.
What do you say?
Which one's going to have more reaction force?
Reaction?
When you open the bail, which one's going to kick harder?
Smooth bore.
How should nozzles be inspected and maintained? Just generally?
Visually.
Just make sure they're in working order. This kind of more goes into engineering stuff, but your flow rates, obviously, you know, you got your, I call it a trash line, reel line, whatever. Your normal hand line, your pre-connect, and then you have master stream. Obviously, you're going to have different flow rates, like I said earlier. The right tool for the right job. You're probably not going to use a master stream on a dumpster fire, right?
We have. Those big old roll-offs, we took the fucking ladder right up, or right over the top of it. If we had a hydrant, we filled it to the brim.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're coming back or you're digging all that trash out.
Right. No, that's fair. You know, you have a little, it's not a roll off, but just a little half-yard dumpster. You might use the trash line.
Use straight line.
Again, it's back to stream. Again, straight streams, broken streams. They used to teach if you have to put water on an electrically charged whatever, use a broken stream or a wide fog. The theory is the droplets are far enough apart that the electricity won't come back and get you. I'm still of the opinion, unless it's a life safety issue, wait for Evergy.
Water and electricity don't mix.
Yeah. Back to more information. You can penetrate more on a solid stream. You can get in deeper, you know, if you got a stack of pallets, your fog pattern's probably not gonna do a whole lot. Has anybody used a high pressure system? Riverside has one. They are great for overhaul, especially if you have like a hoarder. We had a garage that was basically a hoarder garage. A garage fire, you would think what? You're there for an hour, mop up, leave. We were there for 4 hours just because of the fuel load. And even when we had the fire out, there were still hot spots we couldn't reach. But they had their high pressure rig that they brought up, and we hit it with that. It's basically like going to a car wash in that high pressure. That penetrated some stuff. You can get, you know, quite a bit of water out of the straight stream. It's not gonna be affected as much, you know, if it's a windy day. Oh, don't use solid streams on energized electrical. I'm gonna go one step further. Don't use anything on an energized electrical. There's a breakover. Again, all fireline stuff. Fog stream, or beat the dead horse. Shorter reach. Operating one firefighter method for small hose line operation, the red line. Again, you might see this later. Something you would use the reel on. Small trash fire. I don't know, small car fire maybe. Illegal fire pit or illegal fire burn barrel, something like that. Overhaul. Outbuilding sheds. I've never been a proponent of actually using the reel on an actual structure fire. Different places do different things, but Again, right tool for the right job. 2 firefighter method. You're gonna, what's the rule? 2 in, 2 out. You're gonna go in, you're gonna have a partner. Again, your partner, you're both on the charge, attack line. You're both on the same side, so you don't get pinched. Highlighted in my book. Might see that later. Same side of the hose, about 3 feet behind, or whatever dictates. Do you guys teach? Because some places teach, man, if I'm on that nozzle, I got the pistol grip in my hand and the nozzle's right here. I've always taught I'm back a foot or 2 to where I can reach the bail, and then that way I can move the nozzle better. Is that how you guys?
Yeah.
Because trust me, if you're holding on to the nozzle, if you want to spray the whole room, you're moving your whole body. Been there, done that, had to do it. Don't direct fog stream into ventilation opening during offensive interior operations. Basically don't put water in a window if there's a crew inside. Large hose line operations. Everybody's done this, right? Where you loop the hose and you sit on it. Might have limited personnel. Large hose string operations. You can use hose strap, might help. You don't have much maneuverability, you're basically stuck. And this is typically exposure control or defensive. Again, he's using the hose strap to help. They're both using hose straps. I will caution you when you use the hose straps, just hook it over like an outside shoulder. Just stick your arm through it. Don't get wrapped up in it. Don't cross your body with it, because if you need to get out of it, you should be able to just turn and let it go. Nozzle pattern may affect ease of operation. Again, we talked about straight streams having more nozzle reaction force, so it's going to be easier to control a wide fog pattern than it is a narrow pattern. That's something you might see on a test. Wide pattern is easier to control. One person can usually operate a 1.5 inch or smaller hose line. 1 3/4 probably needs to. Unless you're Bruce, he takes the deuce in half and just kind of walks with it. Water hammer. Again, something you might see later. What's the biggest cause of water hammer? Jet?
Opening and closing too fast.
And that goes with the hydrant, that goes with your nozzle, that goes with the truck. If on the truck. If you crank that thing open like right now, the water's gonna hit. It's gonna hit hard. It can damage things. It can hurt firefighters. Just take care not to cause it if you can. Master stream devices, again, defensive operations. You know, if you got a huge warehouse fire and they're just calling for, everybody's seen on news, like Kansas City had that big warehouse fire and they had what, 6-8 trucks just pouring water into the building. Minimum 350 gallons a minute. Yeah. One thing about using a master stream, you got to start. Usually, if you're using a master stream, you've pretty much written off the building, right? The building's a loss. Usually. They say here you got to worry about the weight of the water. The big thing about that is if you just 6 trucks have been flowing 1,000 gallons a minute for the last 4 hours, that floor is going to be weak. Fire's out. Oh, hey, I'm an investigator. I'm going to go in there and check. I'm going to go see what started this fire. Probably should take into fact that, you know, you got 1 million pounds of water that was on that floor. Probably not going to be too safe. Usually you're going to have an engineer or a firefighter on that master stream. They have set them up and just let them go on dangerous situations or hazardous situations. The biggest thing I can think of is rail cars. You know, if you set up a master stream on a rail car that's involved and you're worried about explosion, they might set it up, flow water, and then, you know, back off. Elevated mass streams, more explained. Many methods. You know, most importantly is train with your crews and be on the same page. You know, so if Cap says, hey, I need you to deploy that line, 3 people aren't doing 3 different things. We got about 20 minutes left. So we're gonna go out to, we're gonna go pull out 723 and pull a hose line, look at some hose. Maybe we'll go look at 733 and we'll see how Cap was talking about the LDH is loaded with the accordion and the horseshoe to accommodate how the truck is. So while Bruce is pulling 723 out, why don't we go look at 733 real quick, and then we'll go pull a hose line.
Last two done. It's a nice scrap down.
That can be detailed.
Woohoo! My mobile. what Stacy calls it, since it's his truck.
So the hose goes up here. The crossings that he's talking about, we just single stack. It's the only thing we have room for on here. We have our fog, a smooth bore, and our 2.5s. 200 feet on each one, and then you'll grab the 2 loops. Becca was saying earlier, you grab the one stack that had the nozzle on it, put it on your shoulder, and the other one you reach back and grab the loop of. Space reasons, we have the same stacks, they're just on top of each other. So you grab your top half, put it on your shoulder, walk it out. Hopefully you've got somebody there on top of that that can help you get it out there from the shoulder. Reach back with the loop, and then you grab the loop. The LDH, you have to raise the ladder. It's going to be on the other side of this hose reel. It goes over about 4 or 5 feet and goes down the length of the truck. To get to all this hose, reload all this hose, you have to raise the ladder up and have somebody up there. We don't have trays that will pull out on this one.
Is it the same length as the pumpers?
Yes. Yep. What else do I need? What else you want them to know?
Just look at the LDH.
Okay. So, the only way you're really going to be able to see the LDH on here is to climb up there. It pulls through the back where our hydrant bag is. Pull that hydrant bag out. You'll see LDH behind there. See some LDH back in there? Yep, that's huge. So that's where it flames out of. Raise the ladder all the way up.
No thanks, what? Josh. Jumper. That's why I'm telling you.
So you can see on this truck where the LDH has to come through that tunnel. Good place where it might get hung up. So that's why when you wrap the hydrant, you should give yourself an out. You should have it such that your you're standing far enough off of it that when it does, you know, if it does catch or something and it pulls, that you're not in the path of destruction. All right, shall we run over to 723 real quick and it's my mobile computer platform.
It's an expensive computer platform.
Hey, adapt, improvise, overcome. Sorry. Alright, we still.
This one got clocked out, looks great.
You did a double hat?
I'll just do the single this time. If it gets too much, I might.
Alright, we're just going to kind of just go over about pulling a hose line real quick. We still have a test to take, and it's cold and nasty out, so we'll just do this real quick. We want to actually do it, so we have to reload. But like Becca was saying, there's your loop. That actually has the side the nozzle's on. So you just pull that out, throw it on your shoulder, run. If there's two of you, the second person can come grab this side, deploy it, make sure it's all flaked out. And I was always taught that as the engineer, before he pulls the lever to charge the line, he looks. Yep. Hose bed is clear. Just trust me, it's a bear trying to, you get a charged hose that's still in your hose bed. It's kind of a bear to get that cleaned out. Deuce and a half's up here. Obviously, bigger hose, bigger water. So these trucks are designed to be pulled off either side. Just note this side if there's a connection. So don't, in the heat of the moment, don't confuse that as something you're going to try to pull out the truck. Again, evolutions, man. You should just nice day. Pull the truck out and practice, because the smoother you are getting the hose off the truck into the front door, the more effective fire cover. It's too cold to mess with this. So, let's go back in the test. Thanks, Wes.
Bluetooth disconnected. Bluetooth pairing.
I got you.
Bluetooth connected.
Might need a pen while I'm gonna get one.
I'll take one if you get one. Yep.
Should be a pretty straightforward, easy little 10-question test.
Mark that down on his evaluator checklist.
Didn't have pens?
Didn't have enough pens, resources inadequate.
Right.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, let me see it.
Wow, just enough test. Lights.
Fog pattern. Right. Use more of a fog pattern that decreases the noise.
Bruce.
I would say it's increases it. It's harder to handle. Good pressure at the end of it.
You would be wrong.
I would.
Yep.
Huh?
Test up front.
Now you can hold on to them, we'll go over them real quick. Good. We'll just go over it real quick. Which piece of equipment provides a more secure means to handle a charged hose line?
Hose strap.
B. In a forward lay, the hose is deployed.
From the water source to the instance. Delta
Yeah. When using Minuteman load, the hose.
should deploy with fewer kinks and bends. Delta.
There you go. Which method is used to quickly and easily advance a charged hose line at ground level?
Alpha working line drag.
Yep. Advancing an uncharged hose line down a flight of stairs is only recommended when
Alpha
There you go. Which situation would a standpipe need to be improvised?
Delta. Natural disaster.
Yep. When would a single firefighter be assigned to operate a hose line?
Charlie.
Charlie. When two firefighters are operating a small hose line, backup firefighters should be positioned. Baker.
Baker. Bravo.
Bravo.
Benedictine.
Balloon.
When using a fog nozzle, as the fog pattern widens.
Charlie.
Charlie. What causes water hammer?
B.
Bravo.
Bravo. All right. Thank you, everybody, for participating. There will be no evaluations because I don't want to hear any evaluations.
I've already filled mine out.
Right?
I'm gonna give my oral interview right in front of the camera.
Okay. Perfect. I will. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put it in. Did I hit 2 hours, Bruce?
Nope, 10 seconds.
All right, well, we'll talk about hose lines are heavy and go far. There we go, 2 hours.